Well, I have good news for you today. The good news today comes from the book of Revelation. It comes from the church of Sardis. Sardis, of course, is the fifth church that's mentioned in the book of Revelation. We're in a series on the seven churches in chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation. This gives you a map, what you see on the screen, of the seven churches. And Sardis is pretty close to the center of the map. I'm going to put an arrow there on the map so you can see where it is. This is an important city because you can see on this map, which is a road map, that there are actually four routes, one from the north, one from the south, one from the east, and one from the west. And they all come through Sardis. So it was a very, very important city because of its location. And of course, the word Sardis means a remnant or escaping one. Here's what we know about the Roman Empire. Ephesus, that we've already looked at, was the political center. Smyrna was the commercial center. Pergamos was the religious center. Thyatira, that we looked at last week, is the center for the trade unions. And Sardis is the center for wealth and power. And you're going to see that today. It's amazing. Again, this series of seven churches doesn't work in any other order. It had to be in this order. And you can see we've assigned specific time periods to these different churches because of world history. So this time period is from about 1562 to 1790. There's nothing magical about that date, either the beginning or the end, but it's more of a general date, so please don't take these dates too specifically, but they reflect world history. So we're going to see more of that as we go on today. The background of Sardis: it was founded about 1,200 years before the time of Christ, and it was nearly impregnable. Its geography lent itself to make this city so easily defendable. And I'm going to show you the geography in just a couple of moments here. But it's just incredible how the geography favored this city. So, as a result, they became self-confident and satisfied. They had two gods that they worshipped, Cybele and Artemis. And then there was an earthquake in AD 17, and the Emperor Tiberius helped. And what we know about this earthquake is that it devastated not only Sardis, but many other cities in what we now call Turkey. But we also know that in this particular city, it really never recovered from that earthquake. Even with the help from the Roman Emperor Tiberius, it never fully recovered. And so this great city that was at the center of the four roads, that had so much power and so much wealth, it became self-absorbed, it was self-confident and satisfied, and it let its guard down. Cyrus conquered Sardis in the year 550 BC. What actually happened is that Cyrus came with his army. It was a Persian army, and the Persian army camped at the base of this mountain. Sardis is located on the top of the mountain. Its sides are nearly perpendicular, three sides. It's impossible to climb. It's almost like a straight wall. One side is approachable, but it's very, very narrow. It was easily defended. And what happened at Sardis is that one of the guards dropped his helmet over the side. And the enemy that was camped below watched this soldier go pick up his helmet. And they saw how he maneuvered around. And they watched him as he went back to the top. And they therefore learned how to navigate this very narrow space so that they could get troops up there. What happened is that the king of Sardis, he saw Cyrus with all of his army camped below. He didn't even worry about it. It was no big deal, he thought. Let them come, let them camp. They can't get into this city. But the city fell because they did get in. And then, amazingly, a couple of centuries or about 3 centuries later, something similar happened, and they fell again after the city was conquered, and it was finally rebuilt, and then the same thing happened all over again. That was the history of Sardis. Here is a lower portion of Sardis. This is at the base of the mountain. Barbara and I were there about 10 years ago. I took this picture of the ruins of a Christian church. This is on the way to the city of Sardis, just outside of the city of Sardis. And you can see there's a gold mine table there that they use to separate the water and the nuggets. Sort of like, you know, how we pan for gold in California. Well, they had a big table there, and there was a river that ran through that's pretty much been filled in now with silt. So you don't really see this large river, but there was this river that ran through, and they collected gold and silver, and they did so much finding of gold and silver that they actually are the first people that we know of that minted coins. So they had silver and gold coins. And this is one of the tables that they used from putting the water and the gold and all of the other debris and separating it. We're approaching now, in this picture, the temple of Artemis. Artemis, of course, one of the gods that they worshipped. There's a little bit of a closer picture. Now, the earthquake had destroyed this area. All of the temples fell down. And so these pillars that you see have been discovered through archaeology, and they have been put back up. They didn't just survive, but they had fallen down, and now they were put back up. Now, here's a pretty nice picture of the whole thing. The remains or the ruins of the Artemis temple in Sardis. Now, to give you an idea of how large those pillars are, or another way to put it is how small Barbara is. There's Barbara standing next to one of these pillars. The pillars are just humongous, Here are some of those reconstructed pillars again, a different view. Our guide is in the middle. He's sharing with us some history. Some more ruins from Sardis and the reconstructed pillars at Sardis. You can see they're fairly tall. And then you can see here, this is a view of the ruins of Sardis on the lower level, but looking up toward the fortress at the top. The city was actually built in 2 places, one at the top of the mountain and one at the bottom. Now, it's almost impossible to get to the top even today. So there are no roads that go up to the top. You could scale it on foot, I suppose, but I couldn't convince the rest of the people in my group that we should do that. So we saw the lower part and just looked up at the upper part. Here's a little bit of a better picture. You can see that one area that goes a little higher than the rest, almost in the center of the picture. That's where the fortress was.